where legends collide. Got my friends beside me, we're ready to ride. With every step we take, we're feeling alive. Fearless in the epic, together we thrive. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight we From the jungle to lanes, we're making our mark. With strategies tight, we're igniting the spark. Enemies tremble, they can't break our flow. In this world of champions, we steal the show. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. So here's to the battles, the wins and the falls. Together we stand, we'll conquer it all. No fear in our hearts, just the thrill of the game. In this epic journey, we'll rise to fame. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. Chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind.
Welcome, one and all. We are back here again for the first of a double header this evening. Tonight, we have the Divas That Never Die against Danny Beeg's Elo Patrol. I'm joined by the Hunt, and the Hunt, what a matchup we've got in store today.
Oh yeah, we got a hot one over here. We got Divas Never Die versus Elo Patrol, Danny versus Tara. It's definitely something to look out for.
Two teams that, they've got a lot of spice throughout. That every lane has its own wee quirk, its own wee thing. In the bot lane, you've got one of the best ADCs paired with their partner from last season, Damas, going against Kong and Typhoon. I don't know much about Typhoon, so I'll be intrigued to see how he performs today. Whereas in the top lane as well, you've got one of the goats of top lane last season in Four Finger Goat against Little Slugger himself, arguably one of the kings of top lane. It's going to be a matchup and a half.
That's the matchup that I'm most excited about. Lil Slugger versus Four Finger Goat. Slugger always boasts about his, 1v1 potential, his split pushing. He's that kind of top laner that likes to dominate his lane and bring 1, 2, 3 more people into top lane, garner that attention, and let his team, take it easy on the other side of the map. So we'll see two Titans there battling it out, seeing who gets more attention from their respective teams.
Well, that's just it, and I believe we are going quite quickly into draft number 1. Let me just see, make sure this is refreshing to come up, and here we go. So yeah, we are going to see a Victor ban coming out right away. For I need to swap the sides. Give me 2 seconds. For Divas Never Die, who are on the blue side, game 1. They are banning the Victor, whereas the Trundle will get banned away right away.
Yep, the Trundle ban is an easy one. That's a champion you don't want to let Slugger take. Game 1, taking the win on game 1 and, getting that morale going is an important one. So banning some of these prio picks like the Trundle is a good way to do it.
But it's not just that. We've seen, as you well know in this Fearless season, all we've seen is reverse sweeps. So sometimes winning game one isn't the way to go.
Yeah, I should know that.
Slugger, that's not. There we go. And we are going to see a Jinx get locked in right away for the side of Divas Never Die. I mean, what's your thoughts on Jinx as a champion, as an ADC main?
Jinx is a good ADC to lock in first blind. She can work with a lot of comps. She can just, sit still in lane and farm with a ranged Q if it's too hard to farm with the machine gun. And there's also the W in a worst case scenario. The steals, the ultimate is something to watch out for. Like the other team needs to account for that. You can also send that ultimate across the map to help out with, team fights or small skirmishes. Just an all around easy, good blind pick for blue side.
Well, that's just it. I mean, on the opposite side, you do have the Ashe Seraphine. It's no secret I'm a lover of this combo in the bot lane. Especially, the CC from the Seraphine paired with the frost shot from the Ashe. And they're pairing it with a way and what we'd expect for Danny in mids.
Seems like we're getting a poke pick comp from Red Side here on Elo Patrol. Ashe Seraphine, as you mentioned, is very good synergy. Pair that with Hui's long range burst and Ashe Arrow, and you got a serious team.
Well, that
can threaten a lot of rages.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you're going into, as I briefly said earlier, Damus was easily one of the best ADCs of last season in the lower bracket. However, he never actually faced off against Giraffe Legs. So that's going to be a very interesting narrative as we go forward. We'll see Giraffe Legs in action later tonight, right after this cast, as we see the Cho'Gath get locked in, presumably going top lane.
It could be. It could be flexed in the jungle, but it's probably a Amumu jungle here. I don't think they'll take the Amumu top. So I think that's their comp, yeah. Amumu jungle, Cho'Gath top, Syndra mid. Against a Mundo top. Is that a response to the Cho'Gath?
It has to be. I think it has to be, yeah. I mean, Mundo is one of these champions that is, especially in the lower bracket, is such a game winner. The amount of games last season that were won because we got to 30 minutes and it was a Mundo was quite impressive. Whereas in the higher brackets, there's a lot more ways to deal with the Mundo because people know more how to play around him. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yep. I expected a bit of more of a, let's say, confrontational top lane picks here. The Mundo and Cho'Gath are relatively on the safer side of things. I guess they're just trying to scale. I guess, they're weak siding top on Elo Patrol, so they're just putting that Mundo on scaling duty, farm with Q kind of thing, and just scale up and be useful later in the game as a front line, while they focus on their Ashe Seraphine Hui power,
and that is a hell of a trio down the bot mid. The Hui with the Fear, the Seraphine with her E, the ult. There's just so much they can do to allow this Ashe to literally open fire for Kevin, and that's going to be
many tools.
Yeah, and that's going to be so easy, so fun to see. And when you've got the Maokai with the ult as well. Nobody's going to get to move if you're on the side of Divas Never Die.
yeah. If you get caught by one of the CCs, you're probably getting caught by the whole combo. So it's going to be a dangerous situation. But on the other hand, we do have a Cho'Gath that, if he gets his stacks, he could become big enough where he could block some of these main abilities like the Ashe Arrow or the Hui Qs and EQ maybe. The Amumu also has very good synergy with Nami and Syndra being on Amumu ulting and then Nami following that up with an ult. They can burst someone down and get those Jinx resets starting, which could take over a fight really quickly if you've seen, Jinx with 5 attack speed, deleting teams, right? So it can go both ways. It just feels like Elo Patrol has the bigger belt of tools, right?
I mean, I've seen a lot of these players play. I know a lot of them really well. Obviously, Terra on the Syndra is one of my solo queue partners. I see how good they are playing that Syndra. You know, it's one of their strongest champs. Whereas I know for a fact, you know, Danny, he was on my country v country team. He's an ultra reliable Scotsman. I have so much thing for him. Kevin Kong last season was a really solid ADC as well. And then, you know, Four Finger Goat. The name says it all in that top lane. Yeah. He is one of the goats of the lower division.
It's in the name. It's in the name.
So predictions, obviously, the community think the Divas are going to come out victorious in this matchup. But who's your prediction?
Well, Elo Patrol, as I said earlier, they have the bigger tool belt, so I would say they drafted a little bit better. There are a few win cons here, like the obvious win con on Divas Never Die is the Jinx, probably the Syndra too. The Syndra in team fights, especially like later on in the game, she can burst somebody, you know, long range with a QE W combo without even ulting. Like that's enough to take out an ADC's, you know, 90% health bar.
That'll take Jinx and Sarah out in an instant.
Yeah, so if they get caught by any of these like stray balls or Amumu Qs, you know, some of them can die really fast. But on the other hand, the power trio, as we talked about it before, it feels like the better way to go, especially in the mid game, because that's where it's going to shine the most. You know, Ashe, Hui, and Seraphine, they're at their best in their early and mid game. Yeah. Hui, not so much. Hui needs time to scale, but Ashe and Seraphine specifically, they're at their best in their mid game and their early game laning presence and agency that they have with the tools that they have. Seraphine ult can turn team fights.
Any fight, it's one of the most oppressive ults in the game in that sense. You can be standing way back at your mid tier 1, and if it lines up right, you can make it all the way near enough to that tier 3 inhib, if not, you know, pushing into the enemy base, if all those ults line up correctly, and it can be so oppressive, and as you say, it can change the fight in these close confined spaces.
Especially with tanks, you know, front lines like the Maokai, the Amumu, you know, these beefy front lines that like to stand in front of the Seraphine. They're just going to extend the range, and, you know, so would the enemy tanks. They would also extend the range.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
For the misfortune of their team.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they play around these ults. And obviously, we know how oppressive a Jinx ult can be as well. We issue with the first edition of the client, if you bear with us. Just reconnect. Someone's obviously having a delay getting into the game. But yeah, technical
difficulties. Besides that, though, the early game is definitely on Elo Patrol's side. Obviously, the Ashe Seraphine have more agency and they have better prio over the Jinx Nami. Not to say that, you know, Nami cannot have agency, but the Ashe herself, it's very hard to play against a good Ashe with an Ashe that knows how to space and knows how to use her slow, that synergizes really well with Seraphine. It's really hard to play into that. It can be very oppressive, especially if they freeze, you know, on their side of the lane. Then there is a world where Jinx does not get to play the game, and therefore it does not get to scale. And all of these, you know, scenarios where we talk about Jinx, you know, shining in team fights, they might not happen depending on how Elo Patrol plays this, right?
Well, that's just it. And I've got good news. We're going into game number 1 nice and quickly. And
all right,
do you expect to see an invade here, or do you think we're just gonna have normal lanes to start?
Well, if Elo Patrol's gonna invade, if anyone's gonna invade, it's gonna be Elo Patrol, probably. But are they gonna do it? I doubt it. I don't think they would. I think it's better for them to take Bush Prio in the bot lane with Ashe Seraphine. You know, just in case the Jinx or the Nami decides to overextend a little bit and check the lane bush, then, you know, they can get punished because of that. But it seems like everyone is kind of just taking point and covering entrances.
Yeah, I mean, that's the safest way to do this. You know, we're sitting here, the matchups, especially in lower bracket, nobody wants to make that mistake early, especially game 1 of your season. I mean, you want
the mistake of not buying items here on the Jinx. That is
first error of the lower bracket, and he's not noticed.
I don't think he noticed that. No, that might be the pressure getting to him.
So Jinx is going to be at a disadvantage as we go into lane here, but nobody on the team's picked it up either. So I would be pinging, saying to my, hey, check items. And they're just going to walk to lane. So this could be a big brain strat, but right now, you're kind of set in. If you back now, you're going to be at a massive disadvantage. So having this dagger on the side of Ashe, or whatever it's called, is going to be a massive advantage early on.
Yeah, they're not going to feel it until they trade or farm, and we'll see. We have some kerfuffle going up in the top lane, light trading here, grass proc trading.
I wouldn't expect anything less with these two, to be fair.
Yeah, he has it in the name. He likes to slug it out,
Well, that's it. Obviously, runes, as we expected. We've got First Strike on Syndra, the Aerie on the Seraphine, Lethal Tempo on both ADCs. As you'd expect,
yeah,
or would you...
out of the ordinary here.
Junglers and top laners are matching. The only differing items, rune set, is in the mid lane.
Yeah, I always like to talk about mages and generally even AD caster champs, considering Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest is a rune that I swear by. It can stack up a lot of damage, especially in team fights, especially on champions with resets or low cooldown abilities. Ever since the change, they made it so that it's like a 40-second cooldown. You can essentially more or less farm it in lane. Not saying that it's not more reliable than a Comet. A Comet is easier to play around and just rely on. Yeah. But if you like the aggressive pokey playstyle, then Dark Harvest is something to consider.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we're seeing this bot lane, even though Jinx doesn't have an item, she is trading quite nicely and is actually playing rather well. I don't know if it is a graphical overlay bug, but it doesn't look like she's got an item. Let me just quickly double check in client.
No, she definitely does not have an item because you can see the biscuit spawning right on time.
Let me just quickly check. No, you're right. It's not just... It is definitely a no-item Jinx right now. This might just be a nice strat to get an early item, but it's going to have an effect. But right now, nice gold lead in favor of the Jinx.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing just fine without it. That might be an early BF that we see on the Jinx. Maybe it's something near that.
Now they're finally back. And meanwhile, Terra's just stacking up those shards on this Syndra. And yes, we finally see the BF as you predicted.
Wow, that is
that's
a fairly
confidence.
strong buy.
That is confidence.
I do want to know. I want to know if that was intentional or not. Because if it was, props to you, Mr.
Yeah, meanwhile, we do see the Mundo passive does get popped. However, he does manage to pick up the potion right there. Maokai's looking on the Syndra in the mid lane, decides against it. He has claimed bottom scuttle. Amumu got the top. As we are 20 seconds or so away from the first dragon of the match.
Yeah, just regular pathing here from both junglers, it seems. It seems like the Amumu might have an angle to gank here, where the red side bot lane might think they're safe because the wave's pushing into them.
Well, we're just seeing Damas and that move straight up to take control of this river. They will get spotted out all on vision. That bottom river is lit up like a Christmas tree right now, with all the vision from Typhoon.
Yeah, supports sometimes stray and try to clear vision, and that gets them caught quite a lot. So it doesn't seem like Typhoon Flame is in that position right now. So.
Seraphine Double E does go wide, and they will, Damas and Meowsito will live to fight another day. Don't even get hit by anything there, and that's something I've noticed really well about Damas on the Jinx. He has great spacing. He knows exactly where he needs to be in lane.
Yeah, mechanically speaking, he is very sound.
And I know that's why when it came to the draft, that was why it was one of Terra's main picks, to pick them both up as a duo. Because, as we all know, an ADC is nothing without really solid support. And they are just going to start this first dragon with the four of them here. As we do see Scrabby looking to come in for the steel boost. The Amumu will get it. Meanwhile, Scrabby is going on to Meowsita. The Mumu does get the Q off. Wei will pick up the first blood. Will trade back the Nami for it. Amumu will just escape with his life. And in the end, it's a 1-for-1. But it is the Divas who will pick up the first objective.
Yeah, all in all, that was a good trade for them. The Drake and 1-for-1, I don't think could have gone better.
Especially when they're the one, they only lost the Nami, whereas you lost your jungle for the side of Elo Patrol.
Yeah, it's a better trade, if you put it that way. The kills do go to their mid laners, which hopefully will spike up the mid lane agency right around when Grubs is spawning, which should be sometime soon in a few minutes. Do you reckon we'll see some supports roaming up there?
I don't think we'll see the Nami roaming, and I doubt we'll see the Seraphine. I know some of the teams in this division, they have talked about lane swaps at times. They've talked about moving about. I don't think we'll see it game one, because both of these supports want to be with their AD carry. You know, your Seraphine, you want her to be around the frost shot of the Ashe, and you want this Jinx to have an Enchanter and Nami to boost all her attack. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. They might swap top and bot if there is any swap to be.
We are going to see Blaudio get picked up on the vision. Mundo is going to kind of throw some axes his way. Meanwhile, we do see Seraphine just having to retreat a bit. You know, Nami will get picked up by Eerie. Whereas Blaudio is trying to clear the vision. Maokai's not even anywhere near to come in and help his top side. Meanwhile, we do see Seraphine land a lot of these encore shots. Sorry, these what's the encore? The passive anyway. It's the encore.
The passive auto attack.
Yeah.
It is called encore. Yeah, I think it is called encore.
I should know. She's my champion. Like I've got 700,000 mastery. I should know the names by now.
Yeah. Seems like Maokai is just farming for his level 6 before the Amumu, right, for Grubs. I think that's why he was thinking his Raptor camp, but I don't think he made it in time. He's not 6 yet, and the Grubs are spawning. They have Prio top on Mundo here.
And we are going to see Terra walking up with the Amumu. We do see the stun coming out from the Syndra. I mean, Mundo is a bit chunky and he can take all these hits. He will get knocked up by the Rupture, and the balls are coming in from the Syndra. It's just not enough at the moment to kill. And it was stage presence, the Seraphine passive, by the way. Encore's the ult, which is what I thought.
Right. Stage presence.
And that's something the Divas have a lot of right now, as we see the Ashe getting poked out.
We'll see something happening.
Yeah, we do see, obviously, Danny walking down to the bot side while Slugger, Blaudio and Terra roaming quite well. And they are taking these Grubs. Maokai's looking at angle to come in and steal one. He will instead get knocked up by the Rupture. He's going to have to back away. Slugger's already halved his health. And unlike the Mundo, he can't tank at the moment. And it'll be Terra picking up their second kill of the match. And these should just be 3 Grubs to the side of the Divas.
Pretty greedy from the Maokai. Probably shouldn't have walked up there and just cut his losses. Started walking down to bot lane. Prepping for Drake. Maybe stealing the Raptors from Amumu just so that he doesn't get 6, but unfortunately Amumu is already 6 and Maokai is a level behind.
I mean, that's something you got to watch out for. This, this comp that they do have with the Amumu. Amumu can land his ult. He's already close range. He does the extra damage with his passive for the magic, and you've got a Syndra who wants to do a heck of a lot of magic damage with the executes and all that. It's not a nice combo if you're on the side of Elos.
Yeah, all this magic damage though, we're not sure how it's going to fare up against the Mundo. It's really hard to kill him already because of high health values. They don't really have any answer besides the Cho'Gath E and the Amumu W that does % max health damage, but even those are like, they're on bruisers and tanks, and therefore they're like low value that they're not going to really be able to reliably deal with the Mundo later on.
Well, that's
interesting to see what they do against him.
Well, that's just it. I mean, this is one of our first matches on the new patch, where we've seen a lot of change to these mage items. Leandris has been nerfed, whereas a lot of the other ones have gone up in priority. Which is why I think we're seeing a tank Amumu rather than the more aggressive kind of Leandris. Although Maokai is deciding just to go with the box standard Leandris build. So it'll be interesting to see how that has an effect on the game.
Yeah, that burn component is just too valuable on AP champs. It does flat magic damage to camps, like extra flat magic damage to camps. So once you get it, especially early on, it just helps a lot with your clear speed. So it's pretty valuable for other champs like Diana and Lilia too, not just, you know, the Maokai or Amumu.
Well, that's just it. We are going to see Sarah walk up right into a ward he's pushing there. Jinx is in there. That ward will just instantly get blown up. If I was Divas, I'd be looking to engage on that because, yeah, you don't have vision on the Maokai, but you've caught that Seraphine off guard. You've got the Amumu Q if it was up. And you've got your two, what your biggest carry threat in the Jinx. And that could have just been a nice gold injection right before the second dragon.
Yeah, the Amumu ult being up should have been the indicator for them to take the fight, but I guess they just weren't decisive about it. But, you know, in a way, they decided against it, which is better than hesitating and having one person go for it.
Meanwhile, we see Terra getting caught out in the mid lane. We are going to see Scrabby go in on the Maokai, but Amumu's here to bail out his mid laner. We do see the Amumu will finally come out. Scrabby's going to take a lot. I'm going to eat a Jigs rocket to the face. The tree has to retreat. Meanwhile, Damus is looking to turn up the heat on this bot lane. Slugger's fighting in the top lane as well. There's fights all over. Amumu will move to the dragon. And again, Divas, it just seems, even when Terra gets caught out in that mid lane, being a bit greedy and pushed up, Amumu was right on the scene to turn that fight.
Amumu feels like he's everywhere. Notably though, the Hui just got his first item, but the Syndra got her first item a few minutes earlier.
Amunu's just gonna die here, right?
Oh, no.
Pops
The passive saves him.
Yeah. Any other top laner, he's dead, so that's really well played from Fourfinger Goat, knowing exactly how much he could do.
Yeah. Props to him on that.
The only winning lane currently for Elo Patrol, but it's only just.
It is significant enough because he just finished his Warmogs, which can be very oppressive in lane if you've seen how the Warmogs trading pattern.
Here we go, we see Danny getting absolutely blown up by Terra. Now, one thing I always tell Terra is that Syndra's not a burst mage just yet until you get your stacks. They've got plenty of stacks right now, currently sitting about 56 on this Syndra.
That's not enough to make.
No, not enough to make the burst mage, but with the amount of damage the Syndra's doing, you know, 2-0, they've got this Ludens. She's a threat in lane, especially
Definitely,
onto this wave.
Yeah. She's starting to pop up, but not enough to be able to one combo or one rotation the opposing mid laner yet.
Not yet, but it's getting very close. Meanwhile, we do see the Mundo passive get popped again by Slugger. It does get the silence off, but he's going to be pushed back again to his tower. Meanwhile, we might not see one rotation, but we are going to see Terra picking up a solo bolo there, right onto the thing. We do see the Encore coming out from the Seraphine with the beat drop. Meowsita will be rooted, has to flash away. The Nami Bubble will land, the Jinx will trade something back, but for the side of Divas, they're just going to walk it off. And for Divas, they are one objective away, or one tower away, from picking up the feats of strength.
That was a decent response from Elo Patrol with the Seraphine ult and the Maokai engage as well. But they, unfortunately, Divas had all of their tools up, so they were able to just escape as scot-free.
There we go. What do you think of the gold graph so far? 1,500 gold or so?
It's not large enough to be considered oppressive, but it is decent enough that you will notice it in fights. You'll notice that, you know, certain carries deal more damage than others, especially ones that have their reset timers proper. The Jinx, as you can see here, she has a 40 AD and 15% crit over the Ashe.
Who has the attack
Ashe's
speed?
Passive. Yes, she has the attack speed boost, that's correct. But Ashe's passive makes use of these crit chance scalings a lot faster. Because
hold that. So hold that. I thought we almost had a fight there. I think we might get one because Amumu and Maokai are there. They both get spotted out by the respective numbers. But Slugger was a bit low in lane there. Meanwhile, we are going to get a fight. Danny getting absolutely blown up by Terra Syndra right now. We did say, you know, it was not quite one rotation. It's getting very close to that point.
Yep, it's getting there. I think once Syndra finishes her Shadow Flame, I think we'll see the percent damage increase from Shadow Flame kick in and finish the job.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised we've not seen more kills down on this bot side of the map. I will say... I don't quite approve of the Seraphine first item. I would have rather seen a Moonstone or an Imperial Mandate, especially with the Ashe involved. The Imperial Mandate, I feel, has so much more presence. But Helios is a safe bet for the Seraphine more than anything. As we do see the Seraphine out, the Ashe out coming in, and damage will fall to the Seraphine. May always see the flash on the Ashe. They want this Nami. They want the squid. The root on the beat drop comes out, and it's a double kill for the Seraphine. Not necessarily you want all that gold to go. Meanwhile, we do see Syndra knocking back Danny as the Maokai out will go wide. They will have first rotation into this dragon pit for the upcoming dragon. Meanwhile, Terra will get shut down. By the way, that is a bit of an overstep as Fourfinger Goat. He is doing a great job demolishing the tower on this blue side and should be the one who will pick up the first tower feat.
In the span of 30 seconds, we saw 3 kills. Oh,
we might see a 4th. Although I think Mundo does get out with the Warmogs.
We've had a lot of close ones with this Mundo. He's almost always dead, but he always manages to get out. But man, that ult combo. Do we have replays?
Unfortunately, we don't. We are working on it. That is a tool we are working on. But that would have been a great thing to replay.
Yeah, the Ashe ult onto the Jinx followed up by the Seraphine ult. It was just a guaranteed kill at that point.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we do see again. Like we've seen it, we are going to see the first tower fall in the mid lane for the Syndra. We are going to see Scrabby come in and try and steal this dragon. Although he is going to get knocked up. The Nami bubble does go wide. Scrabby's in the pit. Dragon's at 1500, 1200. That won't be the Mumu that picks up. Scrabby will pay with his life. Meowsita does get the kill there. So Jinx is excited. And for Elo Patrol, they have to just run away again. You know, cutting off. Although Daddy's going to get caught in the middle, in the Krug pit by the movement, but there's not enough damage to follow up as Syndra is turning onto the Ashe. The balls are coming out, and that is a dead Frost Warrior there. Syndra is a real threat in this game.
Yeah, Syndra has her Shadow Flame, which means her combos, her rotations are now lethal.
I mean, would you say Seraphine pick up another kill onto Damage's Jinx? This is
deleted.
Absolutely deleted, and that is, you know, between her and Mundo, they're the only people with a win in lane now. 1.1 on the Mundo, 900 on the Seraphine, and they are near enough exactly counteracting this mid and jungle advantage for Divas.
Unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, the Seraphine dumped her 900 gold into the anti-heal component, which is probably the worst to buy for supports in this season. In my opinion, the anti-heal component is just, it's a very bad dump of stats for a passive that is half the time not needed, and you are playing on support economy, so you are already,
you have to make the most of whatever income you get. And this is where I was saying, you know, you see the Imperial Mandate on the Nami. It's such a valuable item.
Yeah,
and you don't see
very good playmaker.
Yeah, you don't see it a lot on Seraphins, but I'm an advocate to see it more. Meanwhile, we do see Terra looking in on the Ashe. Ashe is all alone, and Ashe will just get sent right back to the fountain. 5-1 now for this Syndra, up at 82 stacks. You know, this Syndra is currently running the game in this mid lane.
Yep, whenever she has her ult up, she will be killing somebody. But just to add on to what you're saying about the Imperial Mandate, I do agree on Imperial Mandate on supports that like to make plays, especially like the Seraphine and the Nami. You know, Seraphine with her E and her ultimate, very good way to proc Mandate in an AoE fashion. You know, so it is definitely a good buy. Even if you're not ahead, like, it could help
swing the tide, yeah.
If you're able to proc it on.
I mean, we do, sorry to interrupt, we do see obviously the Mundo is going to get picked out. out on the Krugs, and everyone in the Krugs Raps there, and everyone is there, and he is just going to die. Slugger will eat him for breakfast. Meanwhile, Terra is looking in on the way again. That's the first time we've seen that Slugger's ult be used in an offensive manner. He's obviously been farming the minions, I would assume. So it's nice to see him use it in that offensive manner.
Yep.
Especially eating up this Mundo hoop. But the Hot Steel second. I think that's an interesting call. I get why you buy Warmogs, and I would agree you still buy these two items first. I would like to have seen the Hot Steel come out first.
Hard Steel first is... it's only good.
Hold that thought,
like
sorry. We do see the Jinx eat the whale, and Jinx will die. Meanwhile, Terra is still in here, so he can't really walk up. Meanwhile, we do see the rest of them. They're going to turn the attention to the ref. The Atakan is just going to go down, and honestly, that's the one thing you want if you surf the Surf and Ash combo, because you get extra slows when you kill a champion, and that can be what changes the fight. They will pick up the ref in return. I just don't think Rift for Atakan is a good trade.
It is not a good trade, definitely not. As you said, I think Atakan is a lot more valuable in the XP and adaptive force that it gives. You know, it farms the whole map's flower petals, but it also gives you that passive on-kill effect that deals percent current health damage and slows by a small percentage. But that is enough to let you catch up with Seraphine or with Ash. But as we were talking about the Warmog Heartsteel combo and why you should do Warmogs first on Mundo, you know, Mundo's abilities cost health mainly, and usually he's bullied in lane. Like, he doesn't really have any winning lanes. He either sits back and farms with Q, or, you know, kind of tries to poke you out with Q with those cleavers, right?
Yeah.
So being able to reliably get that health back without needing to back is a little bit more important for Mundo early on.
Now we are seeing Blue Ardio trying to bait them to come in on this bot lane, make it look isolating. It's going to go in. We do see the hook coming in. Terra is on the bot side, taking the bot side turret as we start to fight over this next dragon. We do see the full five of the Elo Patrol and the full 5 of Divas fighting over in this dragon pit. We see the Ash arrows coming out. Seraphine's quite far forward, trying to get some nice poke out. But again, they're playing really well. This back to front comp with the Mundo and the Maokai on this front line, and kind of going in and out, not allowing Divas to get into this river right now.
Yep, Patrol is really doing well holding that choke point, making sure nobody gets to enter without taking a bit of a damage to their health bar.
And we do see Axis come wide. The jump as well go out. Mundo is going to walk in onto Slugger, but now we'll have to back away because he's going to take a lot of damage. Surfing did get stunned on it, but unfortunately couldn't do much. And it looks like they're just going to concede this dragon. Elo Patrol just making sure they get the vision first of all. Surfing just making sure that part of the rift is clear. But instead they're going to look to just push this mid lane. But I don't think Elo Patrol trust that they're home free.
Yeah. Cinder had an interesting position at the start of the skirmish there. She was on the right side of the Drake while her whole team was on the left choke point. If the Cinder was able to land a QE on one of their carries or on the Seraphine when she was walking up, that could have been the indicator they needed to start the fight.
Yeah, I don't think these fights are over because obviously Elo Patrol are looking to push on the pace of this game, looking towards this Baron, looking to fight. Syndra's down on the bot side, and she does have TP though. Meanwhile, Slugger will take a Heartsteel proc. We see the Seraphine Encore coming out, hits the Nami, and is going to go straight onto Slugger as well. Blaudio's taking a lot of damage with this combo. Syndra's still pushing on this bot side. They are not rotating. The Seraphine beat drop will come in, doing a lot of damage. Fourfinger Go is tanking the turret, will take 2 shots, those will heal up. Before they know it, Seraphine will take a zap, and she is now the target of the Jinx. The beat drop will slow them to allow them out. For Elo Patrol, yeah, you get a couple of nice kills and you're going to get Prio on this Baron. But you lost another bot lane tower and gave the Syndra even more gold.
That way teleport might have been dangerous. If Divas is able to respond there on that 4v2, they might be able to pick up a few stray champions here.
Yeah,
especially if they're below half health.
I mean, Syndra managed to see it. We do see Jinx pinging to try and invade this. We do see the Maokai out coming. Doesn't quite.
This is gonna be close.
The red team almost lose that, but now Blaudio's the one who's getting the objectives taken away. Has to the Syndra Storm will come in and could change the fight. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Damus will fall to the Mundo. Slugger's there to back his ADC up, and we are going to see the Maokai, the Mundo get traded in return. A 1-for-1 in the end. But the most important...
Like the Syndra has her execute already from her stacks.
Yeah, 102 on the Syndra. Really quite dangerous, 6-1. I'm surprised we haven't seen a Dark Sail from Terra here. However, the Way's not someone to be trifled with as well. 4-1 for Danny. He's not had that bad a lane. It's been everyone else that the Syndra's managed to kill.
Yeah, the Syndra is a force of nature right now. 2.3k gold ahead with 100 plus stacks. She's nearing the 50% AP increase, and if she gets there,
especially with this big hat, it's going to be really scary.
Yeah, she's going to be approaching the 800s and possibly the 1k APs by her last item.
Yeah, I mean,
teamfights are going to look disgusting for Divas.
Yeah, I mean, look at, we're going to see this right here. Sorry, before we even get to go, grab Scrabby. It's going to go in, and Ref won't even take the second tower in the mid lane, even with the Baron minions, and they are forced just to retreat because they don't have Mundo, who needs to be pushing these side lanes, and the whole 5 of the Divas are right in close proximity.
Yep, the gold graph seems to be pretty close.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, the gold difference is very minor. It's not a big gold difference. This game can go either side really fast. Death timers are approaching the time where, you know, if one person gets picked off a minute before the objective, people can get ready, like the opposing team can get ready and essentially just guarantee the objective going to their team. So people need to be a bit careful here around where they position and where they die. Yeah,
we are going to see a Mumu looking with the whole of the bot side of the map pretty much, apart from the Syndra. The hook goes wide on the Mumu. However, the zap from the Jinx will hit. The Chompers will lock him in place, and that will just be another chomp for the won't even be a chomp, sorry, for the Cho'Gath. He will just pick up the kill. Meanwhile, we do see the Divas, they are going to look to rotate towards this mid side. You do have Syndra on the bot side having to deal with the push of the 3 of the Elo Patrol with the Baron buff. Syndra's going to be all alone. Kevin's health gets half the one thing. She will eat an encore, and that will be a dead Syndra. Great combo from the 3 of the Elo Patrol, and they'll now look to push this advantage, although we are going to see Damus and Meowsita, roam back down bot to try and pick up that wave to ensure that tower does not fall.
Yeah, we talked about that power trio and their ability to pick off anyone within range, and we just saw it in action against that Syndra. That's a pretty decently chunked shutdown that's going to the side of Elo Patrol.
Yeah, one thing I think one thing we have to talk about as well is this Amumu. 0-0-5. He has played a really, really solid game here. He's not died, he's got objectives, he's done his job. He's been the tank, and he's managed to get out. We are going to see Dragon get started up by the Elo Patrol. That should be their second of the game. And they are just going to burn it down. That's just going to be it. Unless Claudio can go in with a steal. Here we go. 2,000 health. The Namiel will come in. Unfortunately, can't quite get in. I don't know if the Q's on cooldown. Scabby's like, will pay his life for it though. We do see the TP from Cho'Gath come in this fight. The Jinx at Rocket will pick up the Ash. Danny's the next one to fall here. And we are going to see Typhoon on the Seraphim fall down as well. Four-Fingered Goat is the last one standing for the Elo Patrol, and they will get sent packing back into the squad car. As the Divas, as the predictions said in game 1, are looking to end this right through mid lane. A clean ace on their side, and they, with these grubs, are just going to take complete control of game number 1 by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, the follow up, especially from Amumu, being able to catch 2 people with his ultimate, and as we talked about the Jinx getting excited, it's just executed beautifully. The win condition that they drafted, you know, they had it, they did it. And
that is just game number 1 for the Divas Never Die, and what a quick game that was in the end, realistically. You know, that wasn't the longest game we've ever seen. You've disappeared, so I'm going to have to look into why that keeps doing that. But yeah, I mean, it was clinical, though. It was extremely clinical from the Divas.
It could have gone both sides. Yeah, it could have gone both sides. It could have gone either way really fast. The Syndra, you know, she was a real threat. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off, it seems. The Jinx, Amumu team fighting, and Nami, you know, wave, it just disrupted a lot of these, a lot of what Elo Patrol wanted to do for their plan. Then Jinx getting excited and just taking over the team fight there at the end. Yeah.
Really, really impressive. We're going to take a short break, guys, and then we'll be straight back with game number 2. And let's just see if we're going to get our first 2-0 sweep of the series, or whether we're going to go to another 3-game series. Make sure you tune back in the next coming minutes while we go into game number 2. And we are back, folks. And what a game that was, Hunt. You know, two teams really going for it. But in the end of the day, it was the Divas who were the ones picking up the stage and picking up the win.
Yeah. Excited to see whether they'll be able to keep up their momentum, especially with some of their prime picks being available for this draft. What do you expect to see from both sides for this draft?
I expect to see the Trundle. I expect to see the Trundle. I expect to see the Zaya. I expect to see all these prio picks that go banned away Series 1. We are going to see Yorick. Oh, I'm teasing. There might be Yorick in the next series. There might be Mordekaiser. We know from the the Elo Patrol. They are a really, really powerful champions for Eto. Eto had a great game in that top lane.
Yeah.
You know, Mundo couldn't do much wrong. And to be fair, even as a team, Elo Patrol didn't do much wrong. The problem was the Syndra was just picking up those kills, meaning the bot lane could not scale. And we were left at a point where Syndra could blow people up. Cho'Gath got enough stacks where he could eat anyone up at that Syndra weekend. And Mumu had a great engages. And then
It was
obviously
very reliable with his engages that game.
well, that's it. And then you obviously had, the bot lane of the Jinx Nami coming in, doing what they needed to do. It wasn't a spectacular bot lane game either side. It wasn't as if some games we see, like, for example, some of your games we've seen, whether it be in Aphelios or that, where the ADC takes over the game. This was very much the ADCs were there to do a bit of chip damage for the likes of the Syndra or the Wei to get the final blow.
Yeah, not to undermine the Jinx, especially in that last fight there, where she got a lot of her excitement stacks and was able to dish out a lot of damage to the Mundo. But as you said, the main star of that show for me was the Syndra. She was able to reliably one shot. Yeah, she was able to reliably one shot people at some point after her Shadow Flame, and then it's just hard to deal with her. Like once you get in her range. How do you answer that? You needed some way to get on top of her and deal with her as fast as possible to be able to do what you want as the Elo Patrol.
Well,
they did have their tools, in my opinion, but they might have not.
They just couldn't quite execute it. I mean, the Maokai had a hard game in the jungle.
Yeah,
you could see the Maokai trying to turn the fortunes around, try and steal a dragon here, there, and there was a couple of moments where I thought they were going to do it.
Close.
He got very close, and it was a valiant effort.
Definitely.
And then, obviously, in the bot lane, you had the Ashe Seraphine, a great combo, and they did get a lot of nice picks and a lot of nice plays with the Encore, with the beat drop from the Seraphine mixed in with the Frost Shot passive from the Ashe. The problem was, though, they couldn't get it onto the right people, whether that be the Syndra or the Cho'Gath, apart from once, I think they got Syndra in the bot lane, but that was when they were a roving death ball of the Wei, Seraphine, and Ashe.
Yeah. They had the tools, but as you said, they couldn't get the timing or their positioning right to where they were able to catch the Syndra. Because if they caught that Syndra, we could be seeing a different result right now, right?
Oh, 100%. You got to think, if Syndra got caught out, if Syndra was in trouble, that game could have went very differently.
Definitely.
And I mean, we're now at a point where for Elo Patrol, you need to win the next two games to avoid starting your season off 0-3. On 0 points. Obviously, we've seen in every series so far, whoever loses game one goes on to win the series, which is quite an insane stat. Yes, we've got a low sample size, but it is still a stat. We have not seen... It is pretty
interesting that it happens so much,
I mean, talk me through the mentality of that. Someone, who's played a fearless game this season. You win game one, you've overboard, you're confident going into that game two, and then you get shot down. Does that have an effect?
It does have an effect, yeah. It definitely does. I mean, you start the game off feeling, great, feeling on top of the world. That could get to you, it could get to your head. It might make you play suboptimally. It might make you position in a greedy way where you wouldn't have positioned lest you'd being behind. The other team, they might have been down one game, but that, depending on who you are, that might make you just fight harder for the win. And you can appreciate that kind of mentality. It's definitely something beautiful to see, to be able to keep fighting even when you're down.
Well, that's just it. We've seen a lot of plays, and it's something that happened last season and a couple of seasons before. I used to always, when I was playing in this lower bracket, we would sometimes make our mistakes game one, but we'd have a plan, right? Clear their heads, come back game number 2, and then it's you who's got the momentum going into that all-important game number 3.
Yeah. The final game, the stakes are usually high, and both teams, they're sweating, and a lot of their good picks have been exhausted or banned out, and the fearless format, it really hardens you as a player, in your role. You need to have an answer for a variety of different situations to be able to reign as a champion in the fearless format.
Well, that's it. It pushes you out of your comfort zone to try new champions. Now, I know, looking at some of these players, you look at, I like looking at these jungles. You've got Blaudy, or someone who I don't know a lot about. And I think even for you, it's a fairly new name. And he's going against Scrabby, who is a veteran of this fearless format. We've seen his Viego. We've seen a lot of champs like that. Shout out to chat for helping us remember about that. We've seen him play the Sejuanis, the solid picks. And it just shows someone who's got that versatility, that experience and fearless. As we get into these later games and these matchups, that starts to take effect.
Yeah. Maybe as a, relatively new player, Bladio had the mentality of someone, taking their debut and just proving themselves, as someone who could, because jungle is not his main role, by the way, right?
No.
He's been drafted as a jungler. Yeah, he's been drafted as a jungler, but he's here to prove that he can play, as a fearless player. He could play where in the jungle just as good as a veteran like Scrabby, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And I mean, I think we're in for another hell of a match in this game number 2. Both these teams are ready to fight. We've seen that. They're not scared to make that engage, especially this mid lane. The 2 captains, and neither of them want their side to lose. And they both done a hell of a job in that last game to try and enable the rest of their teams.
Yeah, we saw beautiful combos from the Hui, and obviously we saw the monstrous Syndra with her QE into ultimate combo. Man, that Ashe was not having it that game. She died like 3 separate times off of the Syndra ultimate, I'm pretty sure. And at some point, we saw the Syndra like executing the Mundo off of her. 15% health execute.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, the fact when you get to the point where you can eliminate a Mundo like that. And one thing we didn't talk. Well, we did talk about the start of that game. What do you think that no item start was a tactic to get the BF sword by the Jinx, or do you think it was a genuine?
It might have been a tactic. Looking at it, thinking about it now, it might have been a tactic. Maybe they were confident enough in themselves to be able to hold out the early levels, without an item, and just being able to, because that BF sword, like early BF sword back, it can be tough for ADCs to save up 1,300 gold, especially in a lane where, there's constant fights and constant ganks. So,
well, that is just it. And we are into draft, folks, and we are seeing the Orianna and the Yorick bans coming out. Now, it's a Mordekaiser banning to stop Eto being able to play that in the top lane. We did talk about that. That is one of his signature picks, and it's a very important champ to take away.
Yeah, we might be able to see the Trundle just having a field day in the top lane because of that.
Yeah, thank you very much for the sub. And we are going to see Isaiah get picked up for the side of Divas. And I don't know how much you know about Damus, but that is his signature pick right now. alongside the Jinx, his Xayah is something to be afraid of. That's going to be matched up with a Volibear and a Lux. So they're not trying to snatch the Rakan, which you gotta expect will be coming out in this next rotation. And
Seems
indeed
like
it
they're
does.
just answering. They're answering the Xayah Rakan engage with something like a. Yeah, it seems like as an Ezreal Lux. I mean, that Lux could be a flex pick, but the Ezreal is definitely a good answer to that, Xayah Rakan
Yeah.
in the bot lane.
Yeah. We are seeing a Narba ban coming out, and it's been matched with a Lulu. So they obviously think the Lux is going mid if you're banning a Lulu in the second rotation.
Yeah, it seems like it's a Lux mid, but I'm not sure how or what Typhoon's champion pool looks like, so I cannot tell if that is a Lux mid or support. But it could be a flex on both, and Typhoon just is picking up for this game.
Yeah, we are seeing the Viego getting banned, which will push Scrabby onto the Sejuani, and we did talk about that as one of his comfort picks when it comes to Fearless. And we are in fact going to see Trundle.
Yeah, so I guess that's a Scion jungle.
Very much could be, and that's going to be interesting to see. This Trundle, we saw it got banned away first game, and we know for a fact it's in his name. He is Little Slugger himself, the king of top lane. And if there's any champ you want him on, and I've seen this watching some of these scrims, it is the Slugger. That is a champ he can 1v9 on.
Damn.
How do you like that into a Volibear?
Trundle, post 6, Trundle definitely wins that. Like, the lethal tempo alongside the AD, like, generally, like, the stat, HP, armor, magic resist steal. There are, like, a few champions that can handle Trundle that has ulted, and they can handle it by escaping, not necessarily 1v1ing him, sitting there and taking the blunt of the damage. The Volibear needs to be smart about his rotations. He needs to be able to, pop his E, shield, and damage alongside the stun and just try to get out and not get cornered by the pillar and wailed on by the Trundle. But that doesn't mean he's out, because if he's going like with the Riftmaker Navori build, the build where he can get like resets on his abilities. I don't know if you've seen it.
I actually haven't. That sounds some quite fun tech, not going to lie, especially for Slugger in this top side.
Yeah, some of our upper top laners play Volibear like that, and
I thought you meant Navori Trundle. I'm like, okay, that would be cooking. But I know obviously Volibear, he does like the Navori. I played with Spoopid last season, 2 seasons ago, and as we saw last night, his Volibear is something to behold.
I think in this game specifically, if you go tank Volibear, you will not have a lot of agency. The Trundle and team fights, he's going to be able to steal your stats. You're not going to be dealing enough damage. I think this is an AP Volibear game with the Nashor's Riftmaker Navori. It's not optimal because you are against a Xayah and a Lissandra who can, keep their distance, and if you try to get close, you'll get punished. But generally speaking, you should be a side lane threat you just need to hold your own against the Trundle, right? You just need to make sure the Trundle doesn't take over a lane by himself.
What's your thoughts on the Sion versus Sejuani matchup? I mean, that's definitely going to be interesting to see. I mean, Sion is an interesting jungler. I have seen it work. I've seen a lot of work go into Sion players using it. I believe it is one of Blaudio's mains. Sejuani, she's an out-and-out jungler. She's been a jungler pretty much her whole existence, whereas Sion is a topside jungler.
Yeah, Sion is an interesting one. He could deal a lot of damage to camps, early on especially. I don't know if you've seen it, but his Q deals bonus damage to monster camps. So his clears can get ridiculously fast. His damage to epic monsters, like in the mid game, 1 Q can deal upwards of 1k. per charge if you fully charge it. It's an interesting jungler. You have ways to make plays with that ultimate, across lanes, but is it reliable? I'm not sure.
Oh, definitely
Where
not.
is it? I'm not gonna say it's as reliable as the Amumu, right?
No,
Where you can-
exactly. I remember, you land the bandage toss, you press R. It's a very simple combo.
Yeah.
A Scion, you have to rely a lot more on the rest of the team in the way it works.
Yeah. You need to be able to land the ultimate. You need to be able to land the Qs on key targets and team fights, either by peeling your, carries or engaging on the opposing carries. So it's a lot more situational, but that doesn't mean that it can't work, right?
Yeah. Now, question: are we going to a game 3, or is this game going to go in favor of the Divas?
I like Divas' draft this time around. The Scion is a weird one, I will say that, but Slugger on his Trundle and the Meow gang in the bot lane with their signature picks of Zaya Rakan, they instill a sense of comfort. Like, I value players on their comfort picks a lot more than meta picks, and I think in the lower bracket, I think that echoes a lot more as well, right?
Definitely, 100% definitely. We are going to be getting to game very, very shortly. Bear with me 30 seconds and we should be loading in. Here we go. So folks, we are back on the Summoner's Rift as we get ready for game number 2 between the Divas Never Die and the Elo Patrol. Divas are 1-0 up. Let's see if they can be the first team this season to do it in 2 games.
Yeah, not to say that Elo Patrol does not have a chance. Of course they do. Especially with a comp like Ari, Ari, Sejuani, and Lux. They're all pick focused. Besides the Zaya on Divas, they don't really have a lot of champions that can reliably escape getting picked off. So depending on how they play it, they could also find themselves in a favorable position if they play to their team comp strength.
Now I've got a question for you, right? What do you think of these runes? Namely on the Scion.
Wow, I did not expect to see a Dark Harvest Scion.
Minions have spawned.
This could be a lethality Scion game, which is how you should play Scion in the jungle, by the way. But Bladio has, the balls to do it, I guess. Respect for that. Yeah,
And
definitely.
this is the kind of fun you see in this lower bracket. In the upper bracket, as you'll know, everything is, this is the meta, this is what you play, this is why you play it. In lower bracket,
Yeah.
you play it because you like to play it. You play it because it's your champion. Like Slugger playing the Trundle. Like Damas playing the Zaya. I still can't believe they got both. That, to me, boggles the mind.
You mentioned that they banned Rakan in the first draft.
Yeah, so that was Divas who actually banned Rakan game 1 because they didn't want to risk Elo sub being able to ban it in game number 2. So that is heads up play from Terra and our team. Meanwhile, we do see Fourfinger get a beautiful engage onto Slugger already. Slugger being chunked to half health. This Volleyball winning the early trade. Meanwhile, we do see the grand entrance from the Rakan doing a lot of damage onto the Ezreal. The feathers are there. They don't quite have the pullback just yet. However, Kevin now can't play this lane. And this time, this Zaya with items in the first couple of minutes is in utter control over the spot lane.
Yeah, we see both top and bot disrespecting the level 2 power spike on both sides, resulting in a very, very good trade for both teams. On red side, we have Fourfinger Goat chunking Slugger like that. But thanks to Trundle's passive, he's going to be able to sustain through it just fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the same for Kevin's Ezreal, though. He's going to have a hard time in lane.
Yeah, we did see a nice charm there from the Ari being able to put the ball straight through Lysandra. Lysandra's an interesting pick into the area. I'm not sure the one I'd looked at, but when the Vex was banned, that's Terra's best answer into this area. God, meanwhile, we do see in the bot lane a bit more aggression from the Divas this time round. But they are just going to back off for now as they wait for the wave.
Lissandra might not be an answer to the Ahri, more so just as a champion that fits their comp. They do lack, you know, reliable single target CC, you know, that you could like just press a button and get someone, you know, not moving. So Lissandra could be there just to fill that gap, right?
Oh, that's it. We do see Sejuani fighting the Scion early. As they fight over Scuttle, it looks like the Scuttle will go to nobody yet. It's still showing us up on the map. Although no, it will be Scion that picks it up. And they do spot out the Volibear trying to walk down. But all in all, nobody's died yet. And if you're the Ezreal, if you're the Trundle, you'll be more than fine with that. Although the Grand Entrant does come in again from the Rakan, the feathers do get pulled back. But I think Scrabby thought about it and then was like, not just yet. The charm does go wide on Ahri, and Lissandra will be allowed just to push the wave back out.
I do think Terra being on a playmaking champ is better. I do agree with you there, though. I understand that Lissandra might be there to fill a gap, which I appreciate from the captain, you know, being cooperative like that. But it's a waste of talent, in my opinion. Terra is definitely a playmaking mid laner.
Now, I would like to have, and Terra's going to hate me for this, but I would have rather, as much as you've got two tanks on top side, I'd like to have seen you change the jungle pick and you take the Galio here. Because not only are you, yes, into the Ahri, you know, you're a big target, but your target that wants to soak up that magic damage. As Ahri will land another charm, the electrocute does proc. Meanwhile, in the jungle, we do see the Sejuani E getting stacked. But they are just going to walk away, just trade some stacks. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Slugger's doing a great job fighting this Volibear. And Slugger!
Oh my god!
Headed a home run on the Volibear. That'll be first blood to this Trundle. Meanwhile, these jungles are sitting in a bush and knocking 10 bells out with each other. Meanwhile, we do see Terra come down and it's going to go in and man, a beautiful stroke. We were saying we wanted to see them in a playmaking champion. That's exactly what they did just there. Almost killing Kevin on the Ezreal for the double kill with the passive. That is a great set plays for these Divas. Who are just...
was that, 20 seconds where we saw so much plays being made across the top lane and the lower side jungle.
This is lower bracket, baby. This is why we're here. This is why we get so many views on this lower bracket. It's because it is action after action after action. And we are going to see that first Cloud Drake get taken by the Divas.
Yeah, just to reiterate here, that flash to dodge the pivotal E from the Volibear, the Storm.
Delicious.
That was really good. That was a really good flash from Slugger to secure the first blood.
It's not even that. It looked like Volibear was winning that fight for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, Slugger says, hold on, Matt's going to start playing the game. And you're just dead. Because Volibear has controlled this lane up till that moment. And even then, it's only even because of the CS lead. Even with that kill going over to the Trundle.
Yeah. And we see Terra. Man, that was beautiful. Him going in between three people, rooting them, and then ulting to secure the kill.
Yeah, we are going to see Terra, but it's going to get charmed up again. They have to be careful of this. Ahri's getting a lot of damage out. However, Ahri just at this stage... I'm intrigued to see this build, right? You've got one of the most oppressive mid lane mages. You buy 2 ruby crystals.
Yeah, there's this build that's been circulating. You know, I'm not sure what the component is called.
Hold that thought. We are going to see Slugger, and Slugger is just going to say feats of strength, feats of Trundle. 2-0 now on the signature pick. And what we said it was a close top lane, that is long gone. Trundle is leading the way right now.
That Trundle ultimate, man, people always underestimate how much it makes a difference. 40% of your health, of your magic resist, of your armor, you know, it makes Trundle 40% tankier and makes you 40% squishier.
We are seeing in the bot lane, you know, a great disengage from Meowsita on the Rakan using the Grand Entrance and knock up to get the Sejuani away. However, if anything, it's the side of Divas who now have priority in this bot lane, even with a 3v2, as we do see Lissandra coming in on the Ahri. Says Sion will come in to tidy up because Ahri will manage to withhold it. However, Sion is charging her back down. Meanwhile, Scrabby's in the middle of a really bad situation. The Sejuani ult will come out. Meowsita will get back to her Xayah. His Xayah, sorry. Scrabby's going to walk up. I don't know you want to do that, buddy. The Xayah ult does come out. They pick up 2. A double kill. Meanwhile, we see the Ahri fall to the turret, which is good if you're Danny, but for the whole of Elo Submarines, this game is already starting to snowball in favour of the Divas.
Yeah, that was beautiful from the Xayah, being able to turn a 2v3 like that.
I don't think Slugger's done. Sorry to interrupt. Slugger is just knocking Fourfinger Goat. Now, Fourfinger, as we have said and waxed lyrical about him so far, last season he was one of the players of the top lane, and he was a fairly prio pick for Danny. Slugger's had his number in this game. And he's going
Slugger
to have 3 grubs to go with this Trundle, who is already so oppressive. And we know how Slugger likes to play. He likes to drag everyone to his lane. He wants that 1v9 experience in the top lane and playing weak side. He now has grubs to help him. And this tower, that's just gone.
Already.
That's just gone.
Yeah. 2 plates, just like that. Volibear decides to reset, you know, get a ruby crystal. You pay 2 plates for that. That's crazy. With these grubs, it's gonna be he's gonna have a field day in the top lane.
And it is a Rod of Ages Ahri build. The problem is you're at 10 minutes already and you still don't have your Rod of Ages. For me, when I'm playing mid lane, 10 minutes is my break point. If I can get that Rod of Ages, I'm loving life. Because I know by 20 minutes I'm in the game, I'm a full champion.
Yeah,
because
the boots investment.
Because they bought the Sork boots, yes, you're going to have a bit more damage at the moment, but you're just delaying that Rod of Ages spike by minutes. Because that's 800 gold, I think it is. For the boots.
It is around 1100.
1100, yeah. That's a big investment, considering you can get the other side of the rod for about that, if not slightly less. Meanwhile, we do see Typhoon on the Lux. We'll get rooted up. We are going to see Rakan going in with the Grand Entrance trying to come in. Ahri's down here. The Lux route is there. We are going to see Damas get blown up. Damas get blown up, and meanwhile the Rakan is sure to follow. A great turnaround with 2 kills now on this Ahri and 1 on the Ezreal. And they should just have control over this second Chemtech Drake. However, in the top lane,
might be dangerous.
yeah, this is not what you want if you're Volibear. Although Volibear's doing a great job, has to pop the ult just to escape, but Slugger is doing a lot of damage. We said earlier, the way a lot of champions get away from this Trundle is they just live on a blinking health bar, and that's exactly what Volibear's doing right now.
Yeah, he has the teleport. He's not going to lose the turret. He will be able to just TP back in. He will pay. Yeah, he's paying some plates for it though. So
he is going to go in on Slugger now. Now Slugger doesn't have his ult for this fight. He is going to use the pillar to buy himself some space and time. Sion is looking to move up, but right now we are going to see Terra going in and again. Sion's a bit late to respond, but Sion is now going to come with the ult. Great combo there with the Lissandra ult, and we'll pick up the kill on this Ahri, but this Lissandra ult into the Sion ult, that's not a combo I thought I'd be seeing today. But the Divas, they've obviously been working on the training grounds.
Yeah, it's something that they've prepared for a while. It seems like they practiced it before.
Definitely.
That was well executed. The pillar as well from Trundle to escape there. That was also something nice to see. You know, we have a few spikes. We have 40 CS up on the Xayah, which led to her first completed item, while the Ezreal is still on his sheen. We have something going on here.
Yeah, we do have Sion gets the Dark's Harvestar, and that is just one dead polar bear. 3-0 now for Slugger's Trundle. You know, I always think if Slugger gets Trundle, you know, playing around this Little Slugger reference, I mean, you are a disciple of him in the upper bracket. He doesn't turn that rift into a weak side. He turns it into a baseball diamond. And all he is doing is hitting home runs up and down that lane. And right now, he's got his Ravenous Hydra. I think Trundle, and I'm hot take, I don't think Trundle dies this game.
That is a hot take for sure. Knowing Slugger, I know him. He is going to aim for these 1v9s, as you said. He will die, not because he's behind or he's doing bad, but because he's gonna get greedy. And you know, I'm willing to bet money on that at chat.
Now, help me with this as well. So the Ari, she's bought the Catalyst of Aeons for the Rod of Ages. You then go, you're haunting guys for what I'm expecting to be Leandra's meal. Kevin Kong's just dead again. Like, Rakan's going trying to get knock up. The feathers go down, but she doesn't need to even pull them back. Beautiful. This Rakan now 4-1. Even taking a couple of tower shots, and that's just a bot side turret to complement Sluggers in the top side. I don't see a way back right now for the Elo Patrol. I think we're looking at our first 2-0 of the season.
It is looking pretty grim for Elo Patrol. As we said, comfort picks. They are the name of the game, especially in the lower bracket, where a few of these players, you know, they have a lot of mastery on a few champions, and if they get those champs, they will shine. And as we can see here from Slugger.
Yeah, I don't think Danny really wants to be fighting against this Trundle. He does have the Foxfire to get away on the ult. However, the Charm won't go wide. He will. I think he had a tower shot there, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to have to just run away. Meanwhile, this bot lane of the Divas, they have rotated up to mid lane, and they are looking to put pressure on this middle tier 1. But I mean, let's just look at the gold graph again, Hunt. 6,000 gold for the Divas. They've not just bought. Yeah, they've not just bought a tiara. They've bought a whole damn stage right now. Yeah,
it's going to be really tough for Elo Patrol to come back from this. They'll need to play a lot more carefully and, you know, make sure they get their picks off with
now,
the Lux.
I don't know if this was a misclick, but we do see Shelly get insta-popped by the Scion, and he's going to turn it right towards his mid lane turret. Meanwhile, we do see Terra fighting Forfango in the bot lane. The volley battle will come in and will get the kill. Meanwhile, we do see that mid lane turret fall for the Divas. So that's them now fully open, and look who's in the top lane, swinging for the fences. The Trundle is there already, starting to bash down the door of this tier 2. And I don't think Ezreal even does any damage to this man.
Yeah, that's probably a turret gone.
Now Slugger plays it smart. He knows Typhoon's there as well. You know, the pings are there, Sion's there. But look how much they're having to invest to try and fight this. And he's not even in the lane. He's taken the jungle of the Sejuani. Meanwhile, we do see the Meow duo looking to engage. They are going to get cut out here, possibly. But meanwhile, we do see Slugger absolutely no fear on the Trundle. He's going to get 4 members onto him. Sion is here as well. They are getting pings out from Divas to just say, ignore these two. These two are the ones we can let die if they need to, because they are so strong in this kind of fight. And they're going to get so much on the other side of the map, as Atakan's got 3 minutes to spawn, the dragon is up, and that's exactly where the Lissandra, Xayah, and Rakan are headed straight towards.
That's right, but getting that Trundle shut down, 376 extra gold from the kill, is nothing to scoff at. It could be the ticket that Elo Patrol is looking for to get back into the game.
I said the dragon will reset, didn't take much damage before it. Meanwhile, Slugger, he's got a artifact hunter looking his hand to knock out the park right now, and he's going to flash for it. Slugger, he's got no filter. This Slugger will just go in. Doesn't matter who you are. If you are in his baseball diamond, your life is his.
Yeah, he just does not care. He's sending a message at this point.
I just don't know how you give Slugger the Trundle. Like, it was a second rotation pick. Yes, it got banned game 1. But just take it away. It's almost
Are you saying Fourfinger Goat should have played it?
I would have rather have seen that Cryo pick than the volley pick, because you're taking Slugger's comfort away. I'm sure Fourfinger has some experience on the Trundle. He's a fun champ to play. and he's one of the standards of this low elo that you tend to see. You know, for
Right.
you know, initially it's one of the champs. Low elo players are told, try this champion. He's really strong. He's great in these extended 1v1s, and he's got an easy win con. Just sit on a side lane.
Yeah,
So
that might have been the play for Elo Patrol. They probably maybe either should have had a better answer. The Volibear is not a good one, it seems, or as you said, just take it away. They didn't blue side first pick it, so which could have been a very dangerous move from Divas. Obviously.
well, that's, and I mean, look at this. He's pretty much under tower, and Fourfinger just has no health left already down to half health, and Slugger's still full health. He didn't have a munch. And he's in his... This top is just a kingdom of Slugger. You know, first game, it was Terra ruling the roost in the mid lane. This second game, Slugger stole the show.
He's just wailing at him. Just life stealing all the damage back up. But
The Scioncy as well, so they're just going to fight Slugger. It'll take a couple of hits. The Volibear does come out,
Ooh, what a
but
bait.
it doesn't care. He actually doesn't care about this Volibear. Eto, it might be the Fourfinger goat, but unfortunately, Slugger has his number on the Trundle. I mean, we do see Danny looking to try and finally get the shutdown, but unfortunately, you have a Trundle who will lifesteal his way back to full health if he gets an extended trade, and Ari wisely just backs off.
yeah, if Ari was able to land that charm there, that might have been the shutdown that they're looking for.
Meanwhile, we do see
like they're
Atakan spawn, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Slugger just, you know, walk straight topside and use the Hex Gates to get right to it. And allow the Force to fight. Because Elo Submarine, they have to fight, and they're going to get Blaudio, and this could be what Slugger needs to open up the base, and Blaudio will fall down. The Lux out is wasted in effect because the Scion was already dead. But meanwhile, Scrappy is going to follow the same fate. Terra picking up the kill. And now we see the Ari Charm. Terra will go into the ult of the Lysandra to save. Meanwhile, we do in fact we do see Slugger. He wants to have some fun, and we do see the Zaya pick up the kill on the Danny Beegs on the Ari. They're not even looking to the objective. They just want kills at this point. They smell blood in the water.
Yeah. The game looks really, really done. I think Divas has this as long as they play methodically and just go through their objectives with a 9k gold lead. It's just a matter of time, you know?
Well, that
Elo
is
Patrol,
just it.
Elo Patrol needs to stand their ground, hope that Divas makes some mistakes, because this 700 gold shutdown on Trundle, that's nothing to scoff at, you know? Like, if that goes to the Volibear or to the Ezreal, that could be their ticket back into the game.
I think at this point, you know, especially when you've got the Zaya on the other side, I think you have to put it on the Volibear because they need somebody that has the agency to get in and onto the Zaya and can withstand a few feathers. Whereas if this Ezreal has to try and go in and land his abilities, he's just going to get shredded. There's no F's, no buts, no coconuts. He's just going to get blown up.
The issue with Volibear or any melee bruiser champion against an ADC like Zaya is that Zaya is the perfect ADC for champions that like to dive her like that, because the closer you are to her, the more feathers that you're gonna take
Exactly.
when she's called to come back, right? So
Is there a point the Divas fall off as we do see Terra go in and on the Volibear will pop the out, and Fourfinger Goat just gets absolutely told to chill out by Terra in that top lane.
that was beautiful spacing from Terra. Beautiful.
I was just going to say, is there a world where Slugger, Scion, and Zaya fall off? And
Zaya, not that much. Zaya is a very hard scaling ADC. Her W is a percentage damage increase on her auto attacks. It lets her deal like that % damage increase. You know, it increases the damage of your crits as well. So instead of critting for 215% of your AD like other champions, you're going to be critting for a little bit more. You know, upwards of 250, like the old IE system. There's something going on here.
yeah, hold that thought. I did hear Scion, but they decided against it. You know, in that time, they did take the dragon away for Divas. So that is, I believe, their second dragon of the match. I think we're one dragon apiece of the Hextechs. Meanwhile, we do see... Oh, no, I think that's our first Hextech dragon of the game, sorry. Trundle's down the bot side, and he just takes a tier 2 for fun. 5k gold advantage on this Trundle.
That's an item and a half. And
yeah, that's...
You can see it.
But not just that, the Volibear has gone for the Rod of Ages build and had to invest some money in the Bramble Vest, which has delayed his next item. He's got the Zeal component, and you gotta think that item will hopefully be coming soon. I just don't know if it'll be enough, because every single lane for Divas is up right now.
At this point, it is not enough to stop the Trundle in a 1v1 scenario. The Trundle only falls off because of range. He doesn't fall off because he doesn't deal enough damage or he doesn't have survivability. You must have seen Trundle like ulting this, you know, the Ornn with 5k health and 400 armor, and now the Trundle is just as tanky, but he also still can burst down your ADC if left unchecked, right?
Oh, 100%.
So, the way Trundle falls off is against coordinated teams who can kite him, not because of his damage conventionally falling off.
Well, that's just that.
The Scion seems to be more of a, you know, with that Axiom arc that I'm seeing, he seems to be more of a follow-up with his ult rather than an engage of his own. But I could be wrong. I mean, I do advocate... Oh, we have something going on here.
Yeah, we are seeing the Volibear. It's just Slugger being Slugger. Meanwhile, on the top side, the other 4 members of Divas. This could be the game, folks. We are seeing Scrabbing fall. It looks like Typhoon has already fallen. Double kill for Tara's Lysandra. This is Wani Pat on the passive of Lysandra. We'll do some damage to Danny, and now Danny has to deal with 4 members while the Ezreal tries to fend off this Trundle. They are going to pick up the tier 2 on the top, tier 3 on the top side and the in-him. Meanwhile, Trundle looks to be doing the same in the bot side. And they're just going to walk up to the turrets here.
Yeah, this could be it. Trundle should also join them and, you know, do what he does best. Hold on, we got a shutdown here.
It's not on the Trundle though, it was on the Scion. Blaudio is going to, although this could be the death of Slugger, and it is!
Oh my God.
Money. Slugger will just, we talked about this getting greedy. But I'm sorry, if that's a moment to die, that's your moment to die. Both of those towers are imitating Volibear at the start, and they're on a blinking health bar.
Yeah. I am conflicted. I mean, I'm happy to see Slugger doing so well, you know, but I am also not happy that he proved me right about his greediness.
In fairness though, had he got one more swing of that bat, he probably lives. Or if he decides to attack one champion before hitting the next tower, he might survive with the lifesteal. Meanwhile, we do see Danny Beast and Typhoon. They are going to get caught out here a bit in this mid lane. The Lux will just get blown up by the Xayah. And at this point, you've got 2 pushing lanes on the opposite sides of the map. You have one of League's strongest top lane side pushing champions in the Trundle with 3 grubs to cope with. You're down a member. You'd expect you'll be down a Baron in the next minute. You're dead right now.
We talked about Fourfinger Goat being the superstar of top lane for the lower bracket here. But if he's not able to answer Slugger's Trundle, then maybe there are any other players who are able to.
Well, that's just that, you know, I really thought if there was any top laner who'd be able to match this Trundle, it could have been this game. Although, I do know we've got some really good top laners still to come, and we're going to see a couple of them in the later game coming up. Meanwhile, we do see Kevin Kong. He is going to get caught out by the feathers. Danny is going to go in to try and save his ADC. Meanwhile, Typhoon will just get knocked up by the Scion Q. And looks like Slugger's just going to say nom. Not even, oh hi, he's just going to go nom. Meanwhile, Slugger is going to fight against the Volibear. He has got backup this time though. They don't even have the tier 2 in mid. But that's not going to make any difference, folks. We have our first 2-0 of Season 3 of Fearless. Congratulations to the Divas Never Die, because in this season of Fearless, they will open up unbeaten.
What a beautiful series. Beautiful performance from Divas Never Die.
Absolutely insane.
A clean 2-0 for their first game.
But that's what you want to see from them. I mean, Slugger played that game pretty much perfectly. I don't think he, apart from that one death on the tower, don't think he could have done much wrong. We were talking as well early how we would like to have seen Terra on more of a playmaking champ. I'm sorry, I'll hold my hands up, Terra. Alessandra was clean.
That was a clean Lissandra, yeah. Especially in that bot lane, when he went into 3 champions, rooting them and then killing one of them off, almost killing the other Ezreal with his passive reset. That was beautiful. That was really, really well played.
And, you know, it was a great team performance as well from the Divas. You know, they played
Definitely.
the coordination with the roots onto the Lissandra ult to the Sion ult. That's something, yes, you can work on, but that kind of synergy you can't teach. That is just knowing and being able to listen to your captain. And I don't know who the shot caller was, but it was definitely working. Not to say Elo Patrol, the games didn't go their way, but there was a lot of bright sparks on them.
Yeah, Elo Patrol, they had the right idea in mind, especially with the first draft. You know, we saw the power trio of Seraphine, Ashe, and Hui. We've seen it in action a little bit. They had the right tools. They might have not been as comfortable around these tools just yet.
Yeah.
Give them some time and you might find that they are able to, you know, play them more effectively.
Yeah. But what a series that was, folks. I'm going to end the stream just now while we swap over casters, because very shortly we are going to have Day Zero and a special guest who was a very late addition to tonight's stream. So we're not Slugger, due to the fact we do have 2 games this season. We are going to unfortunately not have the interview just now. We may do interviews after the late game if you're still around. We'd love to have you on stage to see that. But before we wrap this up, Hunt, who are your MVPs of this series? Please, let's have 3 of them. I'm going to put forward Terra, because Terra had a fantastic series.
Yeah, Terra is definitely up there. Remarkable performance on both games, you know, with the Syndra being a force of nature, just one-shotting the Ashe a few times. And then as we saw on the Lissandra, what a beautiful playmaker that was, especially with that Sion ult that we saw. It looked like that's something they practiced. And I can imagine Terra being the person who, you know, advocated for that kind of synergy.
Definitely.
So Terra's definitely up there for me.
What about
if I had to name
your next one?
Yeah, my next one, it's a bit of a conflict, but it's between Slugger and Meowsito. I'm not sure who's the ADC. I'm not sure if it's Meowsito or Meowsito.
Just call it Damus. We all know. We all know that way.
Okay. I'm not that acquainted with him, but yeah, Damus. If I had to choose, I would probably choose Slugger, though.
Yeah, I think
slot of MVP.
I think so. You know, Slugger, he had a fantastic game in game 1.
Yeah.
Ended up winning and having a massive effect on the champion. But not only that, when it came to the second game, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Is there anyone... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that he might have went under the radar in the first game with that Cho'Gath. You know, a bit of low-key impact. But then, as we saw in the second game, he just took the game by storm, you know?
Definitely. What about on the side of Elo Patrol? Was there any honourable mentions you have for that third spot?
Well, I will... Danny definitely played his heart out. You know, we saw against Terra, he was able to hold his own. We saw him kill Terra a few times as well. No, I think it was just once under the turret with that Hui snipe on QW. And then on his Ahri, he was trying his best to be around the important spots of the map when it mattered. You could see him, you know, trying his best to make an impact and make sure that his team doesn't fall too behind.
Nice.
So I do definitely give honorable mention to
To Danny. I think he has to be in the vote as well. So what we'll do, folks, we are going to wrap this stream up here. Join us in about 10 minutes or so, where we'll take you through the next game, which is the battle of the team with the acronym start with the N. You've got the Netflix and Chill team against the NASA's Esports. And Hunt, that's going to be a hell of a series to watch. I hope you stick around to watch it. But for now,
I'll be around to watch it for sure.
We'll be away just for a couple of minutes. And please come straight back.